Hey, what is up everybody, Blaze for here, and today for you guys another video of Persona 5X. Inside today's video, guys, we're going to be doing a little bit of Guild Boss immediately here, taking on the Blessed Boy himself, and I'm going to be trying to at least show you guys how to get a decently high score on this. Now, I've done this a few times, and the highest I've gotten is 32 mil, and that's mainly because following the way that I am supposed to be following this, I have to kind of tweak some things, only due to my own characters not being kind of built the way it is. Now, if you guys are thinking about what are you following, we are actually following this man's right here entire little system. He helped us out with a guide actually going into doing a high score for this, and what you guys should pop up, or at least see pop up on the screen in a quick second. So if you want, you can go ahead and pause this right here, or either follow along what I'm doing. This is pretty much a step-by-step of what we need to do each turn to get up to this high point value. Now, I will straight up be honest with you. You might want to have a person who has a duped up closer. You can of course do this with a person who does not have a duped up closer, but this is also taking into account some of your closer has to be like pretty high duped if you want these ultra high scores. So if there's a person in your guild who you can borrow a huge closer from, definitely do so. But I digress with this. What you want to go ahead and do is also get your team to somewhat looking like this. Make sure you have Dominion, Norn, and Cert here. And for the weapon, you could very well use this one, but I'm going to use the Blessed weapon here. I might be actually folding a little bit here on damage here, but we're just going to give it our best shot. So going into this, some things are going to be a little bit altered, as I said before. The main reason for this is because I don't have the speed counters the way they should be, and so that's already throwing us off. And I think we're also missing a certain move on our Dominion that is making this a little bit more difficult as well. But I will go ahead and try to walk you guys through the best of my capabilities of doing so. So first things first here, our thing that we want to go ahead and actually pay attention to is buffing our Summer Closer. Summer Closer is going to be your main DPS here, of course, so using the Chord skill 2 is going to help you out already a lot. Afterwards, we're going to go ahead and use the Highlight, immediately giving us that nice old attack boost, and then prepare for the big boy damage as we go on, using Cert to actually give everyone a defense down, which is really neat. Now, after this, let's go ahead and use the skill 3 on Marion onto our entire team, boosting up our closer's actual max HP, at least max HP as well, finally setting up for her to use her skill 3 and get some decent damage off while we're at it. Now, overall, we got 444k, which is pretty decent, but I feel like we should be hitting a little bit harder than that. It may just be on my end because, of course, I am using this experimental Blessed weapon here. So who knows? We may be tossing, or at least throwing a little bit more than we could be, but all in all, we're on the right track. Now, one thing I will tell you guys is you do have to be fairly careful. As you can see, we get knocked down, and that is something that kind of happens quite often, which is fairly annoying to deal with. Now, first things first that we're going to do is immediately pop off your Wind's first skill. This allows us to not only set up that second little skill here, because just in case we could get the proc off, but it also allows us to get that defense down, which is going to let us do a little bit more damage. Now, as I did say, there are some things that are going to be a little tweaked in this. I'm going to actually use Chord's Highlight now, or at least Closer's Highlight now here, because if we wait any longer, we're going to at least waste opportunities of getting our highlights back later on, and we really don't want to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and pop off the highlight immediately, and then we're going to use Chord skill 3 to pop off that highlight once again, getting us some nice damage in, of course, and then leading into our buff with actually our Dominion here. So we should have at least this, and we're going to go ahead and go to Dominion, use our Rebellion buff here, at least giving that only to Closer herself, and then immediately we're going to go ahead and pop off our skill 2 only on Closer, making sure she's at the maximum amount of HP so she can get that extra little bonus for being as high, and use the skill 1, getting some nice damage in. Overall, we got at least almost 500k damage off of that, which is still kind of low since we are using something a little bit at least experimentative here, but we're doing still pretty good. Now, the only thing I'm really worried about is if they decide to really hard focus our closer, or at least not our closer, our Chord, because Chord here, she has a lot of HP, but if she does get hard focused enough, she can very well just immediately die here. So first things first, we're immediately going to go ahead and use Wonder's ultimate, which is going to give us a nice buff with Dominion. That's perfectly fine what we need to do here. And then immediately afterwards, we're going to use Wind once again. Now, we have our 2 defense down, so there's no need to go ahead and use that again on at least our closer or anything, or at least on the enemy, we're going to use the skill 3, allowing us to deal some decent things here. Afterwards, use the skill 1 with Cord because we do need some extra damage, and we have to prepare for the next round with the buffs that we do have in hand. Once this does happen, we can go ahead and trigger this, which is actually going to trigger quite often if you did use a skill 1 ahead of time, and that allows us to deal a little bit more damage as well, setting up for the next turn. What I will decide here is up to you. Dominion's first skill is really nice to actually get us that extra damage that we're looking for, and that is what we're going to go ahead and do, because this round we need to deal a little bit of damage with our closer's third skill. So now that we have everything in play, we're going to use the third skill on closer, or at least on Minami, immediately giving closer her maximum HP as well. And then we're going to set back up the skill 3, letting us deal a ton of damage to everybody on the field. As you can see, 200 right there, 1 mil right then and there, which is already a really good amount of damage here. I think that's actually probably one of the highest numbers I've hit today for this, at least, in which it's really nice to actually get hit with, or at least to deal the hit with, not get hit by. But all in all, that takes care of the third round. So on the second round, we're going to pretty much rinse and repeat, but this is also going to be a round that I kind of change. So skill 2, as always, goes to closer. This allows us to go ahead and beef ourselves up. But here, where it says Dominion's third skill, this is where we're going to alter this a little bit. So first things first, of course, use Wynn's first skill here. This gets down that defense down, which is what we really want to go ahead and do. But instead of using Dominion's third skill here, we're actually going to go ahead, swap over to our thing being at least our Norn, which you really want to have the AoE winded hit, but I actually don't have that one on currently. We're going to use the single target one because we want to make sure the big guy gets that winded hit as much as possible. He's going to be the main one that we want to get rid of anyways, so being able to get that winded hit on him alone is already going to help us all out immensely. Now, with this in mind, we do have our highlight. We're going to save that only just because with the time that we have left, we can only get off probably one more highlight anyways, so it might be best just to go ahead and save it. But that's up to you guys on that one. So first things first, we are on skill 4, or at least round 4 here, and we already used what we need to use. Let's go ahead and use our skill 2, giving us that nice old heal right here, which once we get our turn, of course, we should be full health, which is perfect for us. And then what we go ahead and use is the skill 1, getting off more big boy damage. That's all we need to look forward to, which is a nice 600k. Would have been better if we got the 700k, but 600k is still just as good as well. So we've made it through the first round, or at least the 4th round. We're on to the 5th one here, which really should be kind of rinse and repeat. Nothing else is really different with this. We've already gotten everything that we really need to get off here. We just kind of just put it into play. So as always, this one, instead of giving our buff with the skill 3, we're actually going to use a skill 1 here, getting off some extra damage. And then we're going to immediately swap to Cert, getting another defense down, which should give us at least, I want to say, if I'm right, 60% defense down if I'm right here. So we already have our defense down immediately with at least our Rico, or at least Wind. So let's go ahead and use the skill 3, getting us a decent bit of things here. Swap on over to Cert. Get everyone this defense down, so now we have that 60% defense down immediately. Go ahead and pop off this to heal everybody up and make sure we have the maximum amount of heals for our closer. And then afterwards, we're going to pretty much just let closer do her 3rd skill and set up her next form. At this point in time, I'm pretty positive we should be dealing some decent damage, in which, let's see if we keep our 60%. I think we still have one more turn of our 60% on. No, we'll only have the 40%, which nothing's really too bad about that, but it would have been nice to have the 60% for that last round as well. Unfortunately, things didn't go the way that we did want to have planned, but all in all, that's not really too bad. Now, for this run, at least what we're going to go ahead and start to do is we're going to go ahead and use, I would like to use closers to highlight, but we're probably going to go ahead and just wait on that. So let's use the skill 3 right here. Pop at least this closer's highlight first, which does some decent damage immediately, getting us to at least, let's see how much we get off. 244, not too bad, but not too good. Then we're going to use Dominion to actually give us that good old Rebellion buff. Since we cannot attack with our nurse here, we're going to go ahead and also pop off from right. We can get off a defense down. So let's go ahead and utilize this to our advantage. get the defense down one last time here, getting us to a 40% down. And that is all we really need anyways. I think I'm just going to go ahead and basic attack instead of shoot here. Shooting probably would have gave us a little bit more damage, but all in all, that's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and use the highlight with closer, which should give us a decent bit of damage as well. And then pop off. Oh, luckily for us, we got the Rico to pop off as well, so that's already good, and which gives us that damage bonus that we really did need at the end. And then let's pop off the skill 1, giving us that last bit of amplified damage here, totaling up to 450k. At this point, we managed to get 32 million, which is still kind of low. You could definitely do better if you had this exactly the same how we had it up in the meantime. But all in all, that wasn't too bad of a run. That was pretty darn decent. I think the highest you could really get, or at least the highest in their guild can get, is around like 40 mil plus, if I'm right. So of course, if you did follow this to a T, or at least you followed this one that should pop up on the screen to a T right here, you most likely can go ahead and get yourself up to 40 mil. But we got ourselves to 32 mil, almost 33 mil, which is pretty darn decent. So without further ado, you guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, which for consider subscribing if you are new. We do daily videos all the time, and we are going to be streaming later on today, which should be happening around 4 o'clock EST. Now, I was going to do a long stream, but I keep forgetting to have D&D on Sunday. So yeah, it's only going to be like a 2-hour stream to an hour and a half. So unfortunate for that one. But anyways, you guys take care and have a nice day.